After my fiance got into a car accident and suffered a brain injury, he blocked and deleted everyone and vanished. He even had someone relay a message to me. So sorry to hold you up, but I'm off to pursue my true love. I was already annoyed because it was raining after a long day of work, but that message pushed me over the edge. My frustration peaked when I found a soaking wet man standing right outside my door. My fiance looked at me with a bewildered expression. He asked, "Can I stay the night? I have nowhere else to go. Aren't you going to pursue your true love?" I choked on the second half of the sentence, remembering the panic of Ethan's parents when they found out he was missing. Forget it. His brain is scrambled right now. I should handle him carefully. First, I invited Ethan inside. Maybe Ethan himself thought it was ridiculous to be invited in, as a stranger so easily. He stood in the entryway frowning, looking troubled. "Shouldn't you ask my name? What if I'm a bad guy?" Eager to get back to my work files, I answered him casually. "Fine, what's your name?" Then the man instantly looked on the verge of tears, pitiful and sad. He said, "My name is Ethan Vance. I was hurt in a car accident. Right after I woke up, my parents tried to force me to marry a stranger I didn't like. I had no choice but to run away as the stranger he didn't like." I felt personally offended. I lost all patience for his story. I just turned around and said, "Oh." I heard hurried footsteps behind me. Ethan's long, cool fingers grabbed my wrist, cold from the rain. "Can I stay at your place for a while longer? I can cook clean." My head started to ache. My fiancé, even a slightly lobotomized one, was still my fiancé for now. Rather than having him cheat on me somewhere I couldn't see, I might as well have him do it right under my nose. Once I processed that thought, I nodded decisively. "Fine, you can stay." I pointed to the empty room. "That's the guest room. I'm right next door. Let me know if you need anything, but I have to get back to work." Watching me as retreating back, Ethan felt his heart swell with warmth. He decided that running away had been the most correct decision of his life. The road to true love was wide open. He had successfully moved in with his soulmate. I called Ethan's parents to let them know he was safe. Afraid of upsetting Ethan further, his parents begged me to look after him for a while. Facing this huge complication, I really wanted to break off the engagement. It was a cold commercial arrangement with no feelings involved, just a business exchange. With Ethan loudly announcing his pursuit of true love, I felt even more redundant, but my parents convinced me, saying that the accident was a major setback for Ethan, and while I couldn't offer encouragement, I shouldn't kick him while he was down. Fine, isight. I reluctantly accepted the possibility of cohabiting with my fiancé for a while. I rubbed my temples and opened the door. I came face to face with Ethan, only in a towel. His ears turned red and he stammered. You said I could ask for help if I needed it. I don't have pajamas." A bead of water dripped from his hair, slowly tracing the line of his toned abdomen before disappearing under the towel. I felt a little hot and dizzy. I stepped back, forcing myself to look away. I said with utmost seriousness, "Boys need to have a sense of caution in a stranger's house. Not everyone is as much of a model citizen as I am." I turned and pulled out a pair of my dad's old pajamas from the closet. And upright as I am, Ethan took the pajamas. His gaze lowered. A fleeting look of disappointment crossed his eyes. "You actually have men's pajamas," he mumbled softly. Why was he unhappy? Weren't one pair enough? Luckily, my dad was particular and kept several sets of pajamas here. I pulled out a silk set and a cotton set, handing them all to Ethan. "Are these enough? I even have men's underwear." Ethan was so overjoyed. He looked stunned. His smile froze on his face, and he even forgot to say thank you. I was woken up by the smell of something delicious the next morning. The aroma wafted through the door crack, and my empty stomach protested loudly. I opened the door. In the kitchen, Ethan was single-handedly flipping food in a pan. He was wearing the pink lacy apron left by the housekeeper. His upper body bore the thin strap draped over his broad back. I felt even hungrier hearing the noise. Ethan turned around. The morning sunlight framed him in gold, and his smile was radiant. "You're awake. I made breakfast to thank you for taking me in." I looked at the time and hesitated. "I have a company meeting. I'm going to be late." Ethan's bright smile fell slightly, but he quickly came up with a new idea. "You go get ready. I'll pack the breakfast in containers. I'll drive you there, and you can eat on the way." To ensure I could eat in peace, Ethan drove fast but smoothly. The breakfast was delicious, the sunlight perfect. My heart felt light, and I temporarily forgot all the stress caused by Ethan. My dad called suddenly, and I automatically answered. My phone connected to the car's Bluetooth. My dad's voice boomed from the speakers. "Mia, that guy you're engaged to." I was quick and hit disconnect first. Ethan was quicker, hitting the brakes. Suddenly, my carefully balanced crystal mini dumplings rolled off my lap and onto the floor. "You're getting married soon." Ethan restarted the car, his voice urgent. I looked at my tragically deceased breakfast and groaned. "Married? What? We're breaking up soon." I snapped irritably. Oh. My attention was completely fixed on my ruined breakfast. I completely missed the fact that after Ethan suppressed his voice to answer me, his eyes crinkled and his smile couldn't be hidden. I suspected that Ethan's talk about pursuing true love was a lie he cooked up to avoid marrying me. He never left the house. He ordered handsome clothes online daily and dressed up flamboyantly inside the house. I had no idea who he was trying to impress. The schedule was tighter than mine. Major cleaning on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, cooking experiments on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays, and Sundays off. My housekeeper nervously messaged me privately. "Mia, the house has been spotless recently, and the fridge is always full of fresh ingredients. You still need me." I laughed, assuring her repeatedly. "Don't worry, I won't let you go." After half a month of this, Ethan finally asked me an important question on his day off. What kind of guys do girls like? After spending so much time with Ethan, I thought he was a genuinely good person. I was already seeing him as a good friend. Seeing him finally get serious about pursuing true love, I offered him serious advice. They like guys with contrast. For example, you look slim now, but you actually have an 8-pack when you take your shirt off. Another example, you're good at cooking and baking, but secretly you're also a master bartender. Or your hair looks gentle and dark, but if you look closer, you have 2 ear cuffs. Total trendsetter. And another thing, I was completely lost in the art of contrast. When I snapped out of it, I saw Ethan silently close the notes app on his phone. He nodded at me, looking very serious. "I've written it all down. You like guys like that." It was time for lunch, and Ethan went off to prepare food. I looked at his retreating back and quietly corrected myself. Actually, you're great just the way you are. The person who likes you should like you for you. Ethan stopped staying home because of my contrast advice. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, he was out training his abs. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, he was learning mixology. Coincidentally, my company was also busy with business during this time. I rarely got home to eat with him anymore. One evening, after finishing a meeting with a partner company, I realized I'd left an important contract at home. My secretary suggested we grab it so he could pull an all-nighter to revise the clauses. Work was important, so I agreed immediately. Then I remembered the man living in my house, Ethan. We were going to break the engagement eventually. I didn't want any outside misunderstandings. Frantically texted him, Ethan, are you home? I'm coming home with someone soon. Could you please hide somewhere? Oh, and please put away your stuff in the living room. It would be bad if people misunderstood our relationship. Dozens of messages sank into a void. My heart was pounding as I opened the door with my secretary. Fortunately, no one was in the room and Ethan's belongings in the living room had been cleared. I took the secretary to the study to collect the documents. After the secretary left, I finally felt relieved. I knocked on Ethan's door. Ethan, are you sleeping? Thanks for cleaning up. He's gone. You can come out now. A loud crash came from inside the room, like something heavy hitting the floor. I nervously pressed my ear against the door, only hearing heavy breathing inside. Ethan. My heartbeat and knocking mixed together. The lock clicked softly. The door slowly opened. A strong smell of alcohol hit me. Ethan stood by the door, his eyes red. I'm fine. I just accidentally spilled some wine. Are you really okay? I was worried. I stepped slightly closer, leaning in to sniff him. Did you drink? I tilted my head to look at him, connecting this to his talk about pursuing love. I became curious. Relationship trouble, sad and lonely. Do you want to talk about it? Ethan looked up, his 6-foot frame looking down at me with an intense, invasive gaze. My heart suddenly clenched. I unconsciously took half a step back. But Ethan grabbed my hand tightly. He said, I learned mixology, but she doesn't seem to like drinking. I trained my abs, and though she complimented me, she barely looked. He pulled my hand to his ear, while murmuring. I even got ear cuffs. Mia, did you notice you? Did you notice? Ethan whispered. I stared at the 2 tiny silver cuffs on his ear. My brain went completely blank. Wait. He swallowed, his fingers tightening around mine. I did everything you said girls liked. My heart gave a strange little thump. You said you wanted a guy with contrast. So, I learned to make cocktails. I trained until I had the abs you mentioned. I even got the ear cuffs. He looked almost offended when he added, and I bought 17 different outfits. I blinked. 17. 23, he corrected quietly. I nearly laughed. Then his expression changed. He stepped closer. But you never noticed. His voice was soft now, almost wounded. You were always working. Always talking about our engagement ending. Always assuming I was chasing some other woman. I stared at him, because you literally told me you were pursuing your true love. I lied. The words landed harder than they should have. What? Ethan's eyes held mine. I never wanted to pursue anyone else. My breath caught. Then who are you talking about? He gave me a helpless smile. You. I froze. He continued before I could respond. When I woke up after the accident, I remembered everything. My eyes widened. You remembered? Every single thing. He slowly released my hand, giving me the choice to step away. I remembered our parents arranging our engagement. I remembered that neither of us wanted it. I remembered how polite you always were to me, even though there was nothing between us. His smile faded, and I remembered something else. What? You once told me that if you ever fell in love, you wanted someone who would choose you without being forced. I couldn't remember saying that. Ethan laughed softly. So I panicked. You panicked and announced you were pursuing your true love. Yes. That is the stupidest plan I've ever heard. I know. And you deleted everyone? I needed an excuse to disappear. You made your parents think you'd lost your mind. I may have overcommit. I stared at him for several seconds. Then I burst out laughing. Ethan looked startled. I covered my mouth, but it was too late. You're ridiculous. I know. And manipulative. I know. And apparently a terrible liar. He smiled. But you still let me stay. My laughter slowly faded. He was looking at me differently now. Not like a stranger. Not like a fiance chosen by our parents. Like a man who had finally decided to stop hiding. Mia, he whispered, I didn't fall in love with you because we're engaged. He stepped closer. I fell in love with you because you gave me your last dumpling when you thought I was hungry. I blinked. That was 3 months ago. I remember everything. He smiled. You gave me your umbrella, even though you got soaked. Another step. You stayed up until 3 in the morning helping me organize my medication. Another. You complained every time I cooked too much food, but you always finished the leftovers. My cheeks heated. And you laughed when I wore that ridiculous pink apron. I was laughing because you looked insane. I thought you looked at me like you liked it. I absolutely did not. You did. I didn't. You did. I rolled my eyes. You're drunk. Only a little. Then go to bed. I turned to leave. His fingers gently caught mine again. Mia. I stopped. His voice was suddenly serious. If you truly don't want this engagement, I'll let you go. I looked back. No tricks. No guilt. No parents. No obligation. His eyes softened. But if there's even a tiny part of you that wants to know what it would be like if we chose each other ourselves. He took a breath. Give me 1 month. I stared at him. 1 month. 1 month to court you properly. My heart began beating faster. And if you still don't feel anything, I'll sign the breakup papers myself. Silence filled the room. I looked at the man standing in front of me. The man who had cooked breakfast, cleaned my house, learned my favorite foods, bought ridiculous clothes, trained his body, learned cocktails, and apparently spent weeks trying to become the kind of man he thought I wanted. I sighed. You really are an idiot. His face fell. Then I smiled. But you're my idiot for the next 30 days. Ethan's eyes lit up. Really? Don't get excited. Too late. He pulled me into a careful hug, laughing against my shoulder. For the first time since the accident, I felt his heart pounding against mine. And for the first time, I realized something terrifying. Maybe our parents hadn't made the biggest mistake of our lives. Maybe they'd accidentally introduced me to the man I'd been waiting for. The next morning, Ethan was waiting outside my bedroom with breakfast. Not just breakfast. A full spread. Pancakes, eggs, fruit, coffee, fresh juice. I stared at the table. What's this? Day one. Day one of what? He smiled proudly. Courting my future wife. I nearly choked on my coffee. Ethan, we haven't even decided if we're staying engaged. Exactly. He pulled out a chair for me. So, I have 30 days to convince you. You're very confident. I've already done the research. I narrowed my eyes. What research? He unlocked his phone. Your favorite flowers, favorite desserts, favorite movies, your preferred coffee ratio, your work schedule, the restaurants you visited most often. I stared at him. How long have you been doing this? Since the accident. You were researching me while pretending to have amnesia? He paused. I prefer the term strategic confusion. I burst out laughing. He grinned. Then he leaned closer. There's one thing I haven't figured out. What? What makes you blush? I immediately looked away. Nothing. He smiled. Challenge accepted. And he became absolutely unbearable. Every morning, there was breakfast waiting for me. Every afternoon, flowers appeared at my office. Every evening, he sent me one ridiculous message. Did you know you look beautiful when you're angry? Stop distracting me. So, you admit I'm distracting you? I threw my phone onto my desk. My secretary watched me with amusement. Your fiance seems very devoted. He's insane. You've been smiling at your phone for 5 minutes. My smile disappeared. I have not. She quietly returned to her work. I hated that she was right. Then one Friday evening, Ethan picked me up from work. Instead of taking me home, he drove toward the city. Where are we going? Your first date. We never agreed to a date. You agreed to 30 days. That doesn't mean. He stopped outside a tiny restaurant. I recognized it immediately. My favorite restaurant. The one I'd mentioned exactly once. Years ago. You remembered? Ethan opened my door. I remember everything about you. Inside, there were no cameras, no reporters, no extravagant decorations. Just a quiet table by the window. And a single handwritten note. For the woman I was supposed to marry. But now want to choose. My chest tightened. I looked at Ethan. You wrote this. Yes. I sat down slowly. He sat across from me. For once, he wasn't joking. Mia, I know our relationship started as a business arrangement. He reached across the table but stopped before touching me. I know you never asked for this. His eyes softened. So, I'm not going to ask you to love me because we're engaged. He smiled faintly. I'll just give you reasons to. My throat suddenly felt tight. Ethan, I don't need an answer tonight. He finally took my hand. Just let me try. I looked down at our intertwined fingers. Then I whispered, okay. His entire face lit up. But, I warned. He immediately became serious. 30 days. 30 days. No manipulation. Agreed. No pretending to have memory problems. He looked away. Fine. No ridiculous outfits. His expression turned horrified. That's unreasonable. I laughed. And that was the moment I realized something. I wasn't counting down the 30 days anymore. I was already wondering what would happen after they ended. By the second week, Ethan had completely taken over my life. Every morning, breakfast. Every afternoon, flowers. Every evening, some ridiculous romantic surprise. And somehow, I started looking forward to all of it. One night, I came home exhausted and found Ethan waiting outside with an umbrella. You're late. I had work. I know. He took my bag. I made dinner. I stared at him. Why? Because I love you. I froze. Ethan froze too. Neither of us spoke. Then, he smiled nervously. I wasn't planning to say that yet. My heart started racing. You love me. I've loved you for months. He stepped closer. I just didn't know how to tell you without making you feel trapped. My eyes burned. You idiot. I've been called worse. I grabbed his shirt and kissed him. For 1 second he stood completely still. Then his arms wrapped around my waist. When we finally separated, both of us were breathless. So, he whispered, does this mean I passed? I smiled. You're still on probation. He laughed. Cruel woman. But the next morning everything changed. Ethan's parents arrived unexpectedly, and behind them was a beautiful woman I'd never seen before. She looked straight at Ethan, her eyes filled with tears. Ethan, he immediately stepped in front of me. Don't. The woman's face crumpled. I came because you promised me we'd get married. My smile disappeared. Ethan's expression turned cold. That was before I remembered who I actually loved. She looked at me. So you're Mia. I nodded. She smiled bitterly. You really don't know, do you? Ethan grabbed my hand. Don't listen to her. But I looked at him. What don't I know? The woman slowly pulled out her phone. On the screen was a photograph. Ethan and her, standing together. Engagement rings on both their hands. My heart dropped. Ethan's face went pale. And then she whispered, ask your fiancé why he erased me from his life. The room went silent. I looked at Ethan. Explain. He squeezed my hand. Mia, there's something you need to know. My stomach sank. What? He took a breath. The accident didn't make me forget her. He looked directly into my eyes. It made me remember you. I stared at him. What does that mean? Ethan's mother immediately stepped forward. Mia, please let him explain. But I couldn't take my eyes off Ethan. You said you remembered everything. I did. Then who is she? The woman behind him laughed bitterly. My name is Clara. She lifted her hand, showing the engagement ring. I was Ethan's fiancé before you. My chest tightened. I looked at Ethan. You were engaged to someone else? No. He answered immediately. Not by choice. Clara's expression twisted. That's not what you told me. Ethan's jaw tightened. Because I was trying to protect you. Protect me? She stepped forward. You promised you'd marry me. Ethan shook his head. I promised because my family forced me to. Silence. Then he turned to me. Mia, before the accident, my parents had already arranged everything. They wanted me to marry Clara because of her family's business. My fingers slowly loosened from his. And where did I fit into this? You were the second arrangement. I laughed bitterly. So, I was your backup wife? No. Ethan stepped closer. You were supposed to be my escape. I frowned. He continued. My parents wanted me to marry Clara. Your parents wanted you to marry me. Neither of us wanted the arrangement. He looked at Clara. So, I plan to refuse both. Clara's eyes filled with tears. Then, why did you keep seeing me? Because I was trying to end it without destroying both families. I looked away. Everything suddenly made sense. The accident, the strange message, his sudden disappearance, his ridiculous pursuit of his true love. You weren't confused after the accident.
No.
You knew exactly who I was.
Yes.
And you deliberately came to my house? Yes. I stared at him. Why? His expression softened. Because when I woke up, I realized something. He took my hand. I had spent years letting everyone else decide my life. His thumb brushed against my knuckles. For once, I wanted to choose. My heart hammered. And you chose me? I chose you before I even knew I was in love with you. Clara suddenly laughed. You really believe that? Ethan turned toward her. Yes.
His voice was calm.
And I'm sorry for hurting you, but I'm not going back. Clara's face went pale. Ethan's mother sighed. Then she looked at me. Mia, there's one more thing. I frowned. What? She pulled a document from her handbag. The accident wasn't an accident. My blood ran cold.
What?
Ethan's expression changed instantly. His mother handed me the report. Someone tampered with Ethan's car. I looked at Ethan. He stared at the document. Then his eyes hardened. And we know who did it. The room went silent. Clara slowly backed toward the door. I noticed. So did Ethan. He turned sharply. Clara.
She stopped.
Ethan's voice became dangerously calm. Where are you going? Clara turned pale. I didn't do anything. Ethan's mother immediately called security. Clara tried to run. She didn't make it past the front door. The police were already waiting outside. I stared at Ethan. You knew. Not everything.
He took my hand.
But I suspected someone wanted me gone. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was terrified they'd come after you. My anger melted instantly. You idiot. I know. I pulled him into a hug. He held me tightly. Then Clara suddenly screamed from outside. You think this is over? Everyone froze. She laughed hysterically. You don't know what you're marrying into. The police dragged her away. Ethan looked at me. Still want your 30 days? I smiled.
No.
His eyes widened. Then, I grabbed his collar and kissed him. I think you've already convinced me. His arms wrapped around me. Does that mean you're staying? I'm staying. For good. I smiled against his lips. For good. 3 months later, our wedding was held in the same garden where Ethan had first confessed his feelings. This time, nobody forced us. Nobody arranged anything. We chose every detail ourselves. When Ethan saw me walking down the aisle, his eyes immediately filled with tears. He whispered, my true love. I laughed. You're never using that line again. He grinned. Too late. When we exchanged rings, he leaned closer. 30 days was enough. I raised an eyebrow. For what? To make me completely obsessed with you. I smiled. Good. I kissed him. Because you're stuck with me now. And for the first time, our marriage wasn't a business arrangement. It wasn't our parents' decision. It wasn't fate. It was ours. And Ethan? He never stopped pursuing his true love. He just finally stopped pretending she wasn't standing right in front of him. The wedding day arrived beneath a sky so blue, it looked almost unreal. The garden was covered in white roses and tiny golden lights. Music floated through the air as both families gathered beneath the flowers. But this time, nobody had arranged our marriage. We had chosen each other. When I reached the end of the aisle, Ethan was waiting for me in a black suit, his eyes already shining with tears. The moment he saw me, he whispered, you're beautiful. I smiled. And you're crying. I've been waiting for this day for months. Let me cry. Everyone laughed. Then Ethan's father stood and cleared his throat. I owe you both an apology. The garden became quiet. He looked at me. We treated your relationship like a business contract. We were so concerned about our families that we forgot you were two people who deserved to choose your own happiness. My father stepped forward, and I was no better. He looked at Ethan. I thought giving my daughter security meant making decisions for her. I was wrong. Then both fathers shook hands. No business contracts. No negotiations. Just family. Ethan's mother wiped her tears. I always wanted Ethan to marry someone who could stand beside him. She looked at me and smiled. Then I realized I had been searching for someone who was already here. I laughed through my tears. Thank you. Then Ethan took my hands. I promise I won't ever let anyone else decide our future again. I squeezed his fingers. And I promise I'll keep you from buying 23 ridiculous outfits every month. He looked horrified. That wasn't part of the vows. Everyone burst out laughing. When we exchanged rings, Ethan leaned closer. Ready, Mrs. Vance? I smiled. More than ever. Our parents applauded as we kissed. Later that evening, Ethan's father raised his glass. To the two people who taught us that love can't be arranged. My father lifted his glass. And to the family we gained, because they chose each other. Everyone cheered. Ethan pulled me close beneath the lights. You know something? What? I crashed that car all over again. I immediately smacked his arm. Don't you dare joke about that. He laughed and kissed my forehead. Fine. Then I'll just say I'm grateful. I found my way home. I rested my head against his chest. Around us, our parents laughed, danced, and celebrated together. There were no grudges left. No forced arrangements. No misunderstandings. Just two families finally watching the same love story unfold. And as the fireworks lit up the night sky, Ethan whispered the words I'd once thought were a ridiculous lie. My true love. This time, I didn't argue. I smiled. Your forever love. And that was how our strange little love story finally became the beginning of our forever.